Hello, everyone. Welcome. If we haven't already met, my name is Claire Jones. I am owner of Liminal Clarity, and I am a flow expert that helps women visionaries, innovators, creators out there, the entrepreneurs, the go-getters, basically achieve more in less time with less stress, because I think that's what we all want, right? If I'm wrong, call me out on it, but I'm pretty sure that we all just want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So I'm jumping on today to talk about how we can increase our creativity, our productivity, our innovation, and aligned flow, even in times of change, stress, and or transformation. And today we are continuing with empowering rituals. But if you're catching me live or if you're watching the replay, please say hello. Comment and tell us where you're tuning in from and what your favorite grounding activity is. What's the activity that you go to in order to settle yourself, ground yourself, and create that stable foundation that gives you clarity and support? If you're interested, wanted to let you know that I'm opening up 3 spaces, the last 3 spaces, to those of you out there who want to move in harmony with your truest selves by cultivating intentional flow and productivity to achieve your life's work with ease and joy. We are anti-hustle culture over here. We are anti just burning yourself into the ground. We are anti-working harder. We are pro-working smarter over here. So if you're interested in booking a call with me, I'll put the link in the comments on Facebook, in the description if you're catching us on YouTube. Now, how have I helped my clients discover the benefits of empowering ritual practices? I want to tell you a story about my client, Angel. She's a very busy middle-aged woman entrepreneur who came to me wanting to build a ritual that busted through the mental barriers that were holding her back from pursuing her goals. She had grown her business to a point where she had a steady stream of clients, but was looking to expand her offerings to focus on one particular branch of clients in particular that was an older and more lucrative client base. On top of that, she was also grappling with moving homes and becoming an empty nester at home. Her adult children were growing up and moving out of the house, and her role in their lives was transitioning as well. Furthermore, she was also finally changing her last name back to her maiden name after divorcing her former husband a decade prior. It took her 10 years, but she was finally ready for that transition. All in all, there were 3 major changes happening in her life simultaneously, and she was feeling slowed down by the doubt and the fear that whispered in her ear throughout the day. She was excited, but feeling anxious about everything. She felt like she was living in a pressure cooker and had no time to stop, pause, and consider all of the transitions in her life. So she came to me to create a ritual that would help her get rid of the busy, stressed feelings that were preventing her from diving into her daily work with enthusiasm and excitement in the mornings. So we first scheduled a free 30-minute intention setting session where we sat down together and narrowed down on a meaningful and impactful intention to begin with. For her, that meant to create a ritual to boldly ground herself and blast past her fear and anxiety. That's why I asked for your grounding activities at the beginning of this call, because that's what rituals can provide for us, including blasting past fear and anxiety. Then we met for her hour-long bespoke ritual creation session and co-created a morning ritual that included an energetic start to her day with a mini dance party to one of her favorite songs, Run by the Foo Fighters. And it was followed by a cup of coffee and a fun, silly, and artistic journaling exercise for her affirmations. So I always encourage clients to incorporate physical movement or actions with all of their senses to make their intentions and affirmations more brain friendly, setting the stage for enhancing the overall impact of her ritual practices, of our ritual practices. Now, every time I connect with her, she gushes about how wonderful her mornings are and how impactful the ritual has been for her, allowing her to jumpstart her mornings with joy and ease instead of stress and doubt. Can anyone relate to this? I think there are a lot out there. a lot of you out there. I skipped some words there. So if you're interested in creating rituals that work best for you and give you this grounding, good start to the day, good finish to the day, grounding throughout the day, I am opening up the last 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So book a call with me if you want to chat. So let's get into the nitty-gritty with empowering rituals. So we live in an infinite series of liminal transitions. Many of them are small, like waking up in the morning, going from one appointment to another, or ending our workday. And many of them are big, like ending a relationship, moving homes. I've been talking to a lot of people who are moving lately, changing careers, starting a business, or mourning the loss of a loved one. And sometimes we approach these transitions with excitement, sometimes with dread, sometimes with confusion and uncertainty. But imagine what it would be like if you could create a custom ritual, ceremony, or routine that provided a tangible support system to strengthen your journey from one stage to another, from point A to point B. We're basically talking about a hammock that supports you in those transitional periods. So ritual is a simple yet powerful way to ground ourselves in the present moment, solidify our intentions, and imbue meaning and provide tactile sensory integration, using all of those 5 senses to ground our bodies, ground our minds, ground our emotions in the present moment. It gives us control over our experience of a given situation, empowering us to live the way that we want to. Live authentically, live joyfully, live easefully. Whatever your life's work is, whatever your life's journey is, rituals empower you to live it the way that you want to, giving you control over your emotional experience of the situation. So today I'm going to teach you the 5 steps to creating empowering rituals so that you too can start taking control over how you navigate these liminal in-between spaces, transitional spaces in your own lives and businesses. So as I mentioned before, first comes the intention. That's why I had an intention setting session with Angel before we began. We need to have some idea of where we're trying to go, what we're trying to accomplish, what experience we want to have in the given situation. It doesn't have to be earth-shatteringly huge or impactful. Sometimes a great intention for a ritual is to simply remind yourself of a perspective or a mindset that you want to hold. If you are in the process of self-improving yourself and you're trying to transition your mindsets, that's a perfect opportunity to have a ritual practice to underline that process for you. So your intention could be to transition easefully out of your working at home mindset to your relaxing at home mindset, or it could be to joyfully celebrate a certain event, holiday, or relationship, or it could be to meaningfully mourn the passing of a loved one or the end of a significant chapter in your life. We still need to mourn those. Even if we aren't mourning death in particular, there are also grief-inducing events like moving on from chapters in our life that we need to acknowledge and process before we can move on. So all of these are totally valid and worthwhile intentions to create rituals around. The main question is, what kind of experience do you want to create for yourself in this given situation? Step number 2 is cleansing. So here we are focusing on cleansing or clearing your space and energies so that you can bring clarity and focus to your ritual. So for example, some people like to take 3 deep cleansing breaths before they start a ritual. Some people like to burn smudging herbs like sage or incense. Sometimes people will wash their hands or take a shower or a bath. Sometimes it's ringing a bell or a meditation bowl to auditorily clear the space. Sometimes it's simply turning to a new page in your notebook to give yourself a fresh start for whatever you're diving into, for the ritual that you're diving into. So identify an activity or a behavior that feels cleansing for you in particular. How would you like to ground your senses as you initiate this ritual? Do you want to involve your scent? Do you want to involve your taste? Do you want to involve your hearing, your seeing, your feeling? You know, when you're turning to a new page, you see the blank page in front of you. That is a visual sense. When you are putting on a certain sweater that you wear, that is a physical sense. So how do you want to clear the energy, clear the space, clear your mind so that you start with a clean slate for this ritual practice? So what feels most aligned for you when considering your intention with this ritual, and what would get you into the best energetic state for this ritual? So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is immersing, exploring, and connecting. So here we are getting into the nitty-gritty of the ritual practice to fully immerse ourselves in the experience of it. So sometimes people will write a letter or journal to themselves or someone else. Sometimes people will recite affirmations, prayers, or mantras. Sometimes people will dance or move their bodies in a prescribed way. Sometimes it's a mix of all of the above. So what kind of behavior or activity feels immersive to you for your particular intention? Like if your intention is to mourn the passing of a significant chapter in your life, what would feel immersive to you in order to mourn that appropriately? Maybe you just need to cry for an hour. That would be an immersive activity. Maybe you need to rage for an hour and rip up some cardboard boxes with your bare hands. That would be an immersive activity. Maybe you need to go yell into the void, scream at the top of the mountain. That is totally an immersive activity. So what would someone who is deeply connected to your desired outcome do to immerse themselves in this particular ritual practice? And how would you best explore your curiosities in regards to your intention? So just diving in deep, digging around, immersing yourself in it, and then having that experience where you're exploring and connecting with your particular intention for this ritual. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is funneling. So here we are focusing on funneling your desired energy to the desired outcome. So this is the tail end of the ritual, and we are funneling those energies out. Once we've immersed ourselves in those energies, where do we want those energies to go? So for example, sometimes people will burn the letter that they wrote in order to release the energy. Sometimes people will verbally or physically direct the energy to where they want it to go through words or movement. Sometimes people will eat or drink something to bring the energy into their bodies, or rub a balm or lotion or oil into their skins to absorb the energies. So what kind of activity or behavior would best direct the energy for you in this particular ritual? So for example, if you are mourning the passing of a significant chapter of your life, to use that example, where do you want those energies to go? Do you want to release those energies? Do you want to bury those energies? Do you want to, cremation is also a valid form of releasing those energies. So think about where or how the energy could be absorbed or released or moved in some way. Where would you like the energy to go as a result of your ritual? Maybe you want it to leave you. Maybe you want to hold it closer. Maybe you want to give it to someone else. So where would you like the energy to go? That's step number 4. And then step number 5 is closing. So here we are ending the ritual so that we have a definitive bookend to the activity. We don't want it to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. We want closure. People like closure. So we need to create a closing activity. So sometimes people will scatter the ashes of their burned letter into the earth. Sometimes people will end their dance that they were doing and lay down to rest, like Shavasana, the corpse pose at the end of a yoga session. Sometimes people will blow out a candle or ring a gong to signify the end. But what would feel best for you? Considering your particular intention for this particular ritual, what do you want the closing activity to be? How would you like to signify the closure of the ritual? What would make the ritual feel complete? If you're closing the book to this ritual, what does that look like? Maybe it's physically closing a book. That can be a closing activity. So how would you like to close the activity? Maybe you want to crumple up the ball of paper and throw it in the trash. That would be a closing activity. So that's pretty much it. Those are the 5 steps. Intention, cleansing, immersing, funneling, and closure. So some people think that ritualistic practices are enigmatic and esoteric, remnants of an era long gone, but really any task or activity can become a ritual practice if you bring the intention and the meaning to it. Anything from your morning cup of coffee, to your lunch, to your shower, to your commute can actually become a ritualistic practice. So you hold the power in your hands. You get to create the ritual practice that is best aligned for you. So if you're interested, book a call with me. I would be happy to chat. Let's talk about the way to create a custom mix of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical practices like rituals to combine the powers of neuroscience, spirituality, and wellness to achieve your goals while having way more fun in the process. You too can reach and maintain flow state even in times of change, which we are all in at the moment. I can't wait to support all of you. In the meantime, please join me for one more Facebook Live in this series coming tomorrow, and I'll be talking about flexible time blocking. A lot of people love my flexible time blocking system, and I get questions about it all the time, so you're going to want to tune in for this. But until then, please remember that your authentic self is extraordinary, it is wonderful, and you owe it to yourself to create the elevated life that you know you are capable of. Take care, everyone. Bye.